As the director of the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory of the University of Belgrade, and as a fellow and one of the founders of the Group for Social Engagement Studies, I wish you the warmest of welcomes to Belgrade. This is the 5th conference organized by this group, and it is entitled Politics of Enmity: Can Nation Ever Be Emancipatory? Allow me to immediately thank to Regional Research Promotion Program Western Balkans, the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, SDC, as well as the Université de Fribourg or Freiburg for financing this project. Before I turn the podium over to the creators of this project, Alexander Pavlovich and Rigels Halili, who along with Adriana Zaharievic and Gazela Pudar coordinate the entire endeavor, I would like to say a few words about the title and the words which it comprises. The title is in fact a question. The politics in Politics of Enmity means that we are in fact capable of manipulating enmity, that it is possible to utilize enmity such to render nation, which in one way or another implies enmity. Nation implies enmity, but if we can manipulating enmity, that meaning that there is no nation without some form of enmity, but with manipulation of enmity, potentially a nation could be emancipatory. What does it mean to say that nation is emancipatory? That it brings freedom, prosperity, offers autonomy, precisely that it frees us of enmity as such. That is the probably idea to utilize the enmity. This, I think, illusion that we alone, or I alone, determine who is our or who is my enemy, and that we reconstruct such an action, can be found as early as Georg Siemel's 1908 text, Der Mensch als Feind, zwei Fragmente aus einer Soziologie, a year in which he also writes about the stranger. In it, Siemel speaks of natural enmity, natürliche Feindseligkeit, between man and man. He also speaks of hate and other feelings, in a word, of politics and negotiations with enemy. For example, in this language, not in Serbian language, or in Russian, or in Croat, or in Muslim, the word enemy refers to one who displeases us, neprijatelj, to whom we are not close, prija, who ought to be at a distance. And we can trace this to 1970 and Jean Genet with his famous passage from Avowed Enemy, L'ennemi déclaré, in which it is I, or that author, Jean Genet, who constructs the appearance of the enemy, that is, announces him, declares him my, or our enemy. I quote Jean Genet: I would love to have a total enemy who would hate me beyond all measure and entirely spontaneously, but a subjected enemy who I have vanquished even before I have met him. Certainly, an enemy irreconcilable with myself. No friends, above all, no friends. An enemy avowed, but not destroyed. Pure, flawless. It seems to me that the figure of the enemy and enmity does not leave much hope. It is a matter of perspective that there can be no negotiation with an enemy, no transformation of the enemy into a friend, or no reduction. Enemy is by definition his own, and for himself. And sometimes it turns out that God is the enemy. In 1965, Julian Freund, friend, student, and translator of Carl Schmitt, is defending his doctoral thesis, L'essence du politique, that means the essence of the political, before a jury, and his mentor, Raymond Aron. The members of the jury was Raymond Paulin, Paul Ricoeur, and Jean Hippolyte. This is one small quote from the defense, where Freund speaks about the debate with that great, big French philosopher Jean Hippolyte in one interview published in 1991. I quote, "Thus arrives the moment of Hippolyte's intervention. He had acknowledged my work by adopting Aron's arms. He found me too severe against Kelsen, but then settled on our fundamental difference, the source of his refusal." I quote now Hippolyte, "There remains the category of friend-foe which defines the political. If you are truly correct," he said, Hippolyte, "nothing is left for me but to tend to my garden." That means, if exists enemy, nothing is left for me but to tend to my garden. To which I said, "Freund, listen, Mr. Hippolyte, you have said 2 or 3 times recently that you were wrong about Kelsen. I believe you are about to make another mistake because, like all pacificists, you think that it's up to you to designate the enemy. You reason that the moment we no longer wish to have enemies, we will not have them. But it is the enemy who designates you as such. And if he wishes to be your enemy, you can treat him as friendly as you like. From the moment he wishes you to be his enemy, you indeed will be. And he will even prevent you from tending your garden." But Hippolyte retorted, I quote at the end Hippolyte, "In which case there is nothing for me to do but commit suicide." The answer given by the great French philosopher is indeed poor. Yet also it does not mean that active defense against the enemy, that is to say the conflict, is necessarily a better answer, having thus far constituted nations as we now know them. If there truly is to politics of enmity, if it is the enemy who decides on enmity and attack against us, then this would force us to seek a new way of constituting a group or a groupness of the group and a community as a resistance. That is what this conference is about. I wish you successful work together. Thank you.
Dear guests, colleagues, and above all friends, as some of you know, this conference is the closing event and in some ways maybe even the grand finale of the project called Figuring Out the Enemy, Reimagining Serbian-Albanian Relations. This project involves over 30 scholars from Serbia, Kosovo, and Albania who worked together, also intellectuals, translators, journalists. They conducted and promoted joint research, and this research was for the most part intended to provide an alternative and positive view of Serbian-Albanian relations to promote friendship and cooperation. This project basically started as an idea of a Serbian civil society organization called Beton, and they were one of the pioneers of cooperation between writers from Serbia and Kosovo in the past. Belgrade Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory instantly subscribed to this idea, and basically their triumvirate of, as you heard from Petar, Gazela Pudar-Draško and Adriana Zakarijević and Petar Bojanić, they basically led this project for the past 2 years in partnership with Beton and some independent research teams from Kosovo and Albania. We initially wished to apply for local funding from institutions from Serbia and Albania, because for once we wanted to do something on our own. But since our total sum that we gathered in this way was approximately zero, we turned to, to foreign donors, and it was a Swiss fund called Regional Research Promotion Program that provided sponsorship for this project, and we are deeply grateful to them. We also received some support from Traduki Translation Network that in a way enabled us to co-finance the publication that we have. Because this is in a way my farewell to this project, I don't see a reason to be very modest. I mean, more than a project, it was a project but also an adventure in a way. And we published a book in both Serbian and Albanian language that gathered 24 articles, all of which basically were in a way dealing with negative stereotypes and prejudices about Serbs and Albanians. I only have this Serbian copy, but these are our babies, they are twins. We have an Albanian one as well. Also, we published numerous articles in Beton, that is in Serbian press, in Kohaditore, in Kosovo. We published things online. And we made some promotional events that really attracted unusual media attention for something that was essentially a boring scholarly event. Now, these are all, I would say, so-called tangible results. But maybe, to the best of my belief, maybe those intangible ones are to be even more appreciated. Prior to this project, most Serbian scholars had no clue about their Albanian colleagues, and vice versa. We lived next to each other, but we did not live with each other. And this project was an attempt to open to ourselves, to see what people are doing, to cooperate, and so on. And I truly believe that in addition to these publications and everything, we created a long and lasting bond and friendship that will, that goes beyond projects, and that will continue after we submit our final reports and what else is to be done. So, in short, it was a challenge, it was an effort, but also it was for the most part a pleasure and a privilege to be one of the coordinators on the project that really presented a kind of breakthrough in scholarship and also had many other positive outcomes. I would say it promoted certain politics of friendship in a way. And to conclude, Stuart Hall once described himself as a usual black, because for years he was the only prominent black intellectual in the UK. So whatever happened on the racial terrain, they would call him for comments and commentaries. And sometimes I felt like that because my dear friend Rigas Khalili and I were kind of, invited often to give these, parallel views, and it felt like we are the usual Albanian and the usual Serb. So given that we have this prior record of that kind of involvement, it only seems fitting now to give the floor to my, dear fellow usual suspect, Rigas Khalili.
Hello, everybody. As you can see, we're not Siamese twins, but we are very similar. We will deliberate a lot during these days on nationalism, various routes, arguments, pro and contra, and probably whether it can be emancipatory and so on and so forth. I don't want to spoil it. You can see the program is going to be lovely, I hope. I know it's going to be a lovely few days in Belgrade, like all of my days in Belgrade actually. But I know for sure that reflection on reflection on nationalism, on its roots, arguments, on dynamics, and especially on social effects of nationalism, catastrophes, tragedies, can be emancipatory. And this I'm looking forward to do here during these days. The project was precisely that, was emancipatory, because we initiated a sort of self-reflection on nationalism, on how we are created as, not only as scholars, but also as human beings. And the only difference, and the huge difference between this project and many other projects that will be formed and will dealing with Albanian-Serbian conflicts, was that in this case were Serbs that were criticizing and self-looking at Serbian side, and Albanians were criticizing and looking at Albanian side, which for me personally is the first step towards reconciliation. Not criticizing you for what you have done to me, but criticizing me for what I have done to you. That was this is I think the core of this project. And I truly believe that it has been emancipatory for not only for me personally, but for all of us in this team of more than 30 people or so. We live in visual culture, we are prone to cliches, so this is the beginning of a new friendship, I hope. The end of Casablanca, and but I have also other cliches. We'll be back, another one. Or hasta la vista, baby. It's the beginning of something that I would say it was an effort, but it's the beginning of a path, and I see it this way. With all of us looking towards what we do, sharing ideas, starting new project with Gazela there, who is the master of these guys, and because she's never at the forefront, but she is the leader actually. So I would like to thank Gazela for everything she has done for us. We had a lot of wisdom from Adriana over there. She is the shadow prime minister. She used to be like selling ideas a lot via emails, but that was also something that was a sort of a source of inspiration for us, and also, once again, thank you. It depends to us what we're going to do next, definitely, and we are willing to do a lot. The Serbian-Albanian drama, tragedy, and sometimes even comedy is by no means not specific. It goes on, and it's human. It's human. And let me remind you that all of social sciences and human sciences that we are dealing with, and we are children of that, come from one ideology that I'm always prone to go for, and this is the ideology of humanism, pure and sheer humanism. It's the very basic of social sciences and also human sciences. In this sense, I would say that it's human to create, manipulate, cherish politics of enmity, but it's also human to create, cherish, even sometimes manipulate, use politics of friendship. The choice is always with us. We have seen both choices, so it's up to you, to us, to do the same. The times we are living in are not normal in many ways. A guy could be a guy that I really don't understand would be the leader of the most powerful world, the powerful state in the world might be. The other one on the other side, it is the leader of another powerful world. In between is Central Europe and Marine Le Pen coming to power. So I think the times are not normal. The one thing we could do is the best is to work, research, and write and teach, especially teach. And let's do that. Thank you very much. Thank you.